because that's the way it operates. Now, I'm telling you all of this so that you understand my situation. My case originally started as a free speech issue. But because of the SBU and the inherent corruption of the SBU and the criminal justice system in Ukraine, I will definitely be sent to a prison labor camp where I will most certainly die. And so I decided that the smart thing was take my chances in terms of getting across the border. Right now, I'm maybe 5 kilometers away from the border with Hungary. Over the last 2 days, I rode my bike just about 1,300 kilometers from Kharkov all the way here to the border. And my intention is to cross the border, get to Hungary, and in Hungary, I'm going to ask for political asylum. Now, why Hungary? And why ask for political asylum? Very simple. You see, when I don't show up at my court date on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow, there will be an arrest warrant issued for me. Now, of course, this arrest warrant, they will presume that I left the country, so it will become an international arrest warrant. Now, the European Union, which is allied with Ukraine to its perdition, as many of you know in terms of the European economies, well, the Europeans will comply with this international arrest warrant, and they will scoop me up at the first chance. And it won't matter that it's a free speech case. It won't matter. Nothing will matter except complying. If I were to go to Poland or Slovenia or Romania, all of these little gremlins of the EU, they're going to scoop me up instantly and return me to the graces of the SBU and the criminal justice system, and eventually I'll wind up in a prison labor camp. I'm hoping that Hungary, which has shown some independence insofar as these matters are concerned, of complying with idiotic EU regulations and diktats, I'm hoping that the authorities in Hungary will look at my indictment, realize that it has nothing to do with me being an actual bona fide criminal in terms of harming people or property, and it's really a strictly free speech issue, an issue of democratic speech. And I'm hoping that the Hungarian authorities will show some mercy and some understanding and grant me this political asylum. That's my hope. By the way, I don't know anybody in Hungary. I've been to Budapest, once for a long weekend. It was lovely, but I don't know anybody in Hungary. I don't have any relations with Hungarians of any sort. I dated a Hungarian girl once, years ago, but other than that, I don't have any connection to Hungary, and so I'm really going to be throwing myself at their mercy, hoping that they will see through this bullshit and realize that it's grossly unfair and it is just despicable. That's the only word I can think of. And so, yeah, that's my situation. And so as this video goes live, at the time that it goes live, I'm going to be crossing the border. And I'm going to be hoping that my name doesn't appear on any system and that I'll be allowed through. That's my hope. If my name is on some system, on some list that they have at the border, then I'll be arrested and it will be effectively a death sentence. And so I'm posting this video so that people know what happened to me if I really disappear. I'm certainly scared, sure, but fear doesn't really help the situation now, does it? You have to be clear. You have to be clear and you have to look at the options. And I've thought about this situation very, very carefully. And between the absolute certainty of going to a prison labor camp if I show up in court on Wednesday, and the slim chance that I might be able to cross the border, I'll take my chances. Some people might think that, oh, why don't you just sneak across some empty field or something like that? That's laughable, okay? But the obvious fact that, of course, if you sneak into Europe, across some field, right? Later they're going to ask you, well, how did you get into Europe? What's that all about? Where's your entry stamp? I mean, it causes all kinds of problems. I mean, I looked at the possibility, by the way. It's not as easy as you think. You think that it's just sneaking across some field. No. It's not, okay? First of all the access points between one country and the other are monitored, okay? And fairly easy. They just have motion detectors. And if anything moves, then the cameras go on and they know exactly what's going on, okay? So that's not an option. As opposed to going to Russia, Kharkov, after all, is 40 kilometers from Russia. It should have been easy, right? Well, no, because all that area is mined. And, both sides, though they're not fighting in that particular area, not yet, they know what's going on. They keep a close eye on that crossing. So you can't go through there. Another option that I was seriously considering was going to the front, going to the contact line, and thinking to myself, maybe there is some spot in the contact line that is being used by civilians, refugees, going back and forth. But that turned out to be a non-starter. I was surprised. I mean, the front is over 1,000 kilometers long, but there is no real spot where you can easily move, not without a guide, not without somebody who knows what they're doing. I also looked into the possibility of somebody helping me out, and a couple of them were grifters. It was clear as day, they wanted money. And the others, they had a lot of good intentions, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And so ultimately I was not able to find a Sherpa, a guide, who could get me through. So that's my situation. And yeah, I'm going to chance it at the border. I'm posting this on both of my channels, the Roundtable and the Gonzalo Lira Again channel, which, again, it's weird because, see, when they allowed me out on bail, last year, when they detained me, because they didn't formally arrest me, they detained me. When they detained me in April of 22, they took control of 2 of my Google accounts. The Google accounts that controlled my previous channels, my Coach Red Pill channel and my Gonzalo Lira channel. They never gave up that control of those accounts. I've never recovered those Gmail accounts and Google accounts that control those channels. But the Google account that controlled my current channel, Gonzalo Lira Again, and the Roundtable, they gave that back to me. Okay, so that further gives me the hope that they're just basically saying, go away. That's what I'm hoping. But on the other hand, I realize what they did. And I've outlined it to you in this video. And, I don't know what to say. So, you'll have to draw your own conclusions. By the way, during this past month that I've been free on bail, I obviously haven't been posting anything anywhere, just to keep a low profile and just to straighten out my head as to my options. I didn't want to be distracted with social media. I reached out to a few online people, but not all of the people that I know from the online world. Not because of anything in particular, but just, I wanted to get in touch with people who could, help me out in a practical way insofar as this current situation is concerned. Unfortunately, all the avenues that I tried, it came to nothing. And so this is the situation I'm in. It's, well, on February 27th or 28th, I think it was the 28th, I'm not sure, I forgot. February 27th, 28th of 2010, I lived through the Great Chilean Earthquake. It was an 8.8 earthquake. And I happened to be on the 15th floor. My apartment was on the 15th floor. And it was spectacular. My building moved around from side to side, like 3 meters off axis one way and 1.5 meters roughly on the other, in this elliptical swinging around. And I thought that the building was going to collapse and I was going to die. And of course it didn't, thank goodness. But that was the moment that I learned fatalism. That there are some things that are simply beyond your control. And you have to live through them. And you have to just go forward. And there's nothing you can do. Everything is beyond your control. And we fool ourselves thinking that we can control everything. And that causes so much anguish for no reason. We worry, we think this, that, the other. But you have to recognize when you have actual control over some situation and when that control is beyond you. And there is absolutely nothing that you can do. Nothing that you can do except move forward. So either I will cross the border into Hungary in the next couple of hours, or I will be arrested again, and God knows what will happen to me. So if I post again, here on the video and on Twitter, then you know that I made it. And if I don't, then you know that I didn't. And I would ask you humbly that if you don't hear from me again, anybody and everybody who's watching this video, please raise a ruckus, raise a fuss. Because ultimately, as you can see in the indictment that I posted on Twitter, all of the pages are there. You can read it for yourself in Ukrainian and in English. The charges against me are just because of my opinion about this conflict. I did no harm to anyone. And they arrested me because they wanted to have on the nightly news a short little video of how they are fighting the propagandists. That's it. That's why they arrested me. The extortion stuff that I discussed, that happened later when they realized that I wasn't a poor schmuck. But the start of the genesis of this whole situation is because I had an opinion that went against the narrative. And that's why I went to prison. And that's why, if I'm arrested again, I will die in prison. So I ask you, please, as many people as possible, the American State Department knows exactly who I am and the situation I'm currently involved in. And they know the fate that awaits me. They know it. They have that saying that, I forget the wording exactly. I'm a little stressed out, as you can imagine. But they have that saying that people are fundamentally good, but for evil to triumph, all you need is the indifference of good people. Please don't be indifferent to my fate. I ask you this very humbly. Please recognize that, the literal death that awaits me if this doesn't work out. Understand what's going on.